Hello and welcome to the Candlelight Podcast, where I, Mohamed Abdalla, talk about different topics, including some of my favorites, which are movies, martial arts, and philosophy. Let's start with this week's quote, shall we, guys? Most people overestimate what they can do in 1 year and underestimate what they can do in 10 years. By Bill Gates himself. The man who is probably the reason that I'm able to do any of this, because, it's all on the computer, on the Windows, software, which he created. So yeah, big thanks to him because he's created so many, thousands, hundreds of thousands of jobs for people who can just work in tech, something as simple as software engineering. Thanks to him. So yeah, that out of the way. This is a good quote because it kind of actually put into perspective. It was really interesting to actually hear this for the first time a few weeks ago. It really put it into perspective how much, how distorted our view of reality kind of is, because we do tend to overestimate, or at least I tend to overestimate what I can achieve in 1 year. Like, I can learn a new language, I can, get this good at this martial art, I can do this, I can do that, I can do so many things that you could do in 1 year, but probably won't, because, you're doing so many things at once. It's not just one thing. And you can do those same things just in the span of a few more years, maybe 5 years, maybe 10 years. That's where you could do, most of the work that you really want to do. You want to master a martial art? That doesn't take a short time. That takes dedication a long, long time. And you want to be able to speak a new language? Again, it's something that you need to dedicate and commit to. You want to start a business? There you go. Something you really need to dedicate to keep even afloat. Never mind, actually succeed, have a successful business running. And so keep in mind, for example, I'm going to be 23 soon, and in 10 years, I'd be 33. And if I focused within those 10 years on these, kind of like different goals that I have, I could actually make some huge progress, and I'll be 33. That's relatively young, so it's not like I'll be that old. I won't be like on the wrong side of 40, quote unquote, only to then achieve those goals. No, I can actually do them from now on, and I have to keep that in mind myself, because failure to plan is planning to fail. And I realized recently, after listening to a talk, that I do need to have a vision for the next 5 years of my life, for the next 10 years of my life, for the next 15. Obviously, nothing really. Things won't go exactly according to plan, obviously, but a plan is there to give you some sort of, structure that you really need. You need a plan, and I guess I need to make one. I need to make a plan for the next few years and the years after. Just put my life into more of something solid. Make sure you have something solid there, and that's what I'm gonna hopefully be focused on. And I need to also think about what I can realistically achieve in 1 year and what I can achieve in the rest of the 9 years, I guess, within those next 10 years. It's really cool to have somebody actually say that, because you truly underestimate as well how much you can actually achieve in 10 years. I mean, to take get an example, look at Mr. Beast. Within one year, he didn't achieve much, but within like 3 years, he got millions of subscribers, and then within 5 years, he opened so many different kinds of businesses. His own chocolate, brand, his own, burger chain, his own whatever. He's just his own philanthropy, foundation. So many things that he did in 5 years, not 1 year, 5 years. And he even says, I have way more plans going on for the next, however many years. So yeah, and he plans to be the biggest YouTuber one day. And as you can see, it didn't take a year. It took longer than that, much longer. And sometimes maybe even decades. But that's, the price you kind of have to pay in order to be successful. And success, I was actually thinking about this. For me, success is not just, achieving the goals necessarily. It's really in putting in the effort, doing the effort to achieve those results. So I do sometimes catch myself whenever I'm doing something that requires a lot of effort, like maybe, working, and such as when I did in the military or anywhere else, even studying, I sometimes catch myself, I'm like, I really like this. I really like what I'm doing here because I'm actually fulfilling my purpose by doing this right here, right now. This is everything. Reading this chapter in order to study for this quiz is everything. And it truly is. Just look at everything you do, every important thing that you do that you need to put effort in, as if I get this done, this one thing right now, right here done, I am winning. That's it. Basically, I've won. And just for every single time you have a task, just have that same mentality. Just this one thing I need to do right now, and if I finish, I won. So it's kind of like the mentality I'm kind of developing, and it's working pretty cool because, I feel like I am actually doing something. And yeah, so that was the quote. And I hope that, this kind of, because it did really, it was food for thought for me at least. I hope it is for you guys as well. So what can we speak about? Oh, and speaking of, effort and work, I've got a Tough Mudder coming up, a Tough Mudder marathon coming up, which is basically a marathon that's also an obstacle course, a 10-kilometer marathon that's also an obstacle course, and has a bit to do with mud. Like you can get dirty, splash in water and, soak in mud, and it gets a bit dirty, and but you just kind of go through it. You gotta kind of go through experience, come out the other side. So last time I did marathon, it wasn't very good because I wasn't physically prepared. The time before that, it was amazing because I was prepared at that time. But the last time, I wasn't so prepared. And then this time is coming around right now, like literally next week. And my body's just not in the shape that I need it to be. It was in the shape that I needed it to be for a marathon a month ago. But I just kind of dropped off with regard to cardio, and now it's not there, and I'm really trying to catch up, but it's definitely going to be difficult, and I think I'm going to have a bad time in the Tough Mudder, but hey, I still just need to go through it. I don't want to have negative thoughts, and I don't want to make excuses, even though I did, well, it's not an excuse, it's really just admitting the fault that I did, which is not really work out as much as I should have. So, but there is another marathon coming up next month. Then by then I'll be in pretty good shape, and hopefully I'll be joining both of these marathons, the one next week and the one next month. And hopefully by next month I'll be in tip-top shape and I'll be ready to go, and I'll do much better. But hopefully I don't do that bad and embarrass myself this coming one as well. So yeah, I've got these two marathons coming up, and also actually more than two, because we know there is one for October, which is the one next week, November next month, December the month after that, and excuse me, and January. So yeah, it's like 4 marathons, 4 of the same kind of marathon, just one after the other. I'm just gonna have to, make sure I put in the work properly. So yeah, and one of the reasons I guess, my cardio kind of suffered, actually my whole workout routine suffered, is because of my bad sleep schedule, which I actually hopefully have fixed by today. Yeah. Hopefully I'm going to sleep early tonight and be able to, fix my schedule. And by the way, guys, when I say fix my schedule, it's like this is how I do it. Sometimes it gets, the schedule gets so bad that I'm only able to sleep a few hours before sunrise, like 1 or 2 hours. And then I wake up for sunrise, obviously for praying, and then go back to sleep. And then I wake up whenever I have class, because right now I don't have classes at all in the morning, almost at all. I have my earliest class in the week is at 11, and the rest of the classes are later on in the day, which is pretty cool, because I'm taking only 3 courses, so it's not much pressure. Excuse me, I don't know why I'm so coughing a lot. I hope it's not the COVIDs. So yeah. I need to fix my... Oh, it got so bad, actually. The sleep schedule got so bad that I'm actually staying up until sunrise and only sleeping after. So what I did is today is what I usually do when I'm trying to fix my sleep. Just stay up all night and all day until the next day's night and go to sleep then, if that makes sense. And yeah, that's what I'm doing. I woke up in the afternoon yesterday and I didn't sleep until now. And I'm just kind of trying to stay awake up until after sundown, and then I'm going to put my head and rest. And that's going to fix my sleep schedule, because I'm going to be sleeping early and waking up early. So it's awesome. But I really hope I don't ruin it again. And that tends to happen, especially when you're working in group projects in university, where students tend to like to work at night, and that might mess up a few things. But hey, I just have to delegate and, you know, um, manage my time and make sure I let people know that, okay, I can only work from these certain hours, so let's get to work here. So yeah, that's what I'm hopefully gonna do, and hopefully I keep it on for the rest of the semester, because why not? You know, just have a good sleep schedule. The reason I haven't been really caring about the sleep schedule and letting myself stay up all night is because, well, we've been having too much fun, me and my cousins, when we hang out at weekends. We're just having too much fun. We're just staying up all night doing whatever we're doing, and it's just, I don't want to miss it, so I just kind of stay up with them. And but I should really, get back to fixing it. And yeah, I don't know how the weekends are gonna look, because it might mess up with the sleep again. Oh boy. But hey, we'll figure it out when it comes to it, and hopefully I make the right choices whenever they need to be made. Hopefully. All right. Oh, and I did kind of I finished two shows, like last weekend and this week. Did I talk about it? Did I talk about this last weekend? Let me actually check the notes of last week's podcast to see if I actually talked about this, because I don't want to repeat something. What the heck? Hey, why'd you close it? Oh my god, why'd it close this week's podcast? This week's podcast notes. All right, so I guess I didn't talk about it. I guess I will. And it closed again. Why did it close? Just open up the other Word file. I don't know what's up. Yeah, I was praising Bill Gates just now at the beginning of the episode, and now he pulls this stuff off. Yeah, this is nonsense. I don't like this. I take everything back, Bill. You suck. Oh no. Oh no, this is not good. This is not good, because the notes that I had for this podcast are now gone. Or are they? Yeah, I think they are. They're gone. Again, thank you, Bill. I was praising you the beginning of the podcast, and now this happens. And now I don't have my notes for this week's podcast, and I'm just gonna have to wing it. Anyway, so yeah, I was gonna talk about something I watched last week, which is the Netflix original show Squid Game, and it's this Korean show about this game show where people have willingly signed away their lives in order to compete for whatever 45 billion won, Korean won, which is roughly around 160 million dollars. Sorry about that. I just had to get rid of something that was in my mouth. Anyway, so yeah, they have to compete in this like series of children's games where they have to like win, and if they don't win, they die, and if they win, they move on to the next game, up until the last person is eliminated, and they finally make it to like the final game. So make it to the final game, and if you win the final game, then you get to go home with the money. Crazy show, really good show. I recommend to watch it, but it's very it's R-rated. It has a lot of blood. Has a bunch of nudity. Something I really don't like. But if you can get past the nudity part of it, you can really enjoy the show, because it's pretty cool. And also another show on Netflix, a Netflix original that I watched this time, was Midnight Mass. Midnight Mass was actually a pretty good show. No, actually, no. Midnight. I take it back. No, Midnight Mass was not a good show. It had a good setup, a good structure, a good host of characters that could have made for an interesting story, but then they went with the really weird, supernatural type thing, which could work, but it didn't in this case. I don't recommend watching it. Oh, and by the way they treat the theme of religion, it's really weird how Netflix, or Hollywood by extension, treat the idea of religion. They always have to make it out to be some sort of weird outside thing that has no place in our society. For some reason, it's always like that. When it comes to Hollywood and Netflix films and TV shows. And yeah, I'm not watching anything Netflix does that has anything to do with religion from this point on. That's it. Midnight Mass was the last, it was the straw that broke the camel's back, and that's it. I'm not gonna watch anymore because of that type of Netflix, media content, because they just always, make religion seem weird, which is weird because why do that? Anywho, so yeah, I kind of enjoyed the first one, Squid Game, and oh, by the way, even in Squid Game, there were parts where they make religion seem weird again. It's like they have to insert that for some reason. They have to like, ingrain into people subconsciously that religion is something that is weird and something that you should avoid. It's something that I noticed. It's not really a conspiracy theory. It's kind of something that's really in your face. It's too on the nose to, call a conspiracy theory or anything of that nature. So yeah, but I enjoyed the Squid Game. Didn't much enjoy Midnight Mass. It was just weird. It was boring. It had good characters, but didn't really make a good story out of them in the end. So yeah, my notes are gone. I don't know why. I don't know why it wasn't saved. I don't know. Thank you, Bill. Again, started this podcast praising you, and now this is what you pull. Hey, Bill Gates, you're gonna hear from me after this podcast. All right. So, just joking, Bill. I ain't coming for you. Anyway, so what? Oh yeah, YouTube. I checked out a bunch of cool stuff on YouTube. There's this channel that I don't know if I mentioned before because it's really interesting. It was really cool. It's really heartwarming actually, very wholesome. The channel is called A Chick Called Albert, and it's about this Dutch guy who made a YouTube channel of him taking care of the most precious and fragile animals. Like literally, he's just nursing baby chicks and baby squirrels and what have you until they grow up and are healthy and can fend for themselves. He really takes care of animals and showcases it in a very wholesome way, in a very like heartwarming way. You guys have to check it out. It's very, very good content. Really, it's good food for the soul. Really beautiful to watch a person really take care of these animals like that and really dedicate. Because he actually mentioned when he was taking care of a squirrel one time, he mentioned that baby squirrels, in the first 2 weeks, they need to be fed every 2 hours, night and day. And that is not a task for someone who doesn't really care about these animals. He did it. He actually was able to, with maybe probably help of others like his wife or something, to feed the squirrel and make sure it grows up healthy. And it did. It grows up to be an adult squirrel, completely healthy. It's amazing to see, guys. A Chick Called Albert. That's the YouTube channel. Check it out. And another thing that I watched. Oh, I was actually watching an awesome talk by none other than Habib Nurmagomedov. He actually was in London, and they invited him to give a talk. And yeah, he sat down for a good hour and a half. I'm halfway through the talk. I didn't finish it yet, and they're asking him about his life, what his future plans are. Does he miss fighting? Does he want to go back into fighting? Will he ever go back to fighting? And if so, for what reason? And man, it's really interesting to hear. Every time I listen to Habib, I always benefit. I always learn something new. There's always something to be benefited. Something to learn when you listen to him speak. It's not just he's not a celebrity without substance. There's a lot of substance in what he says. He's lived a good life. He's achieved so much in such a young age. And man, like I said, I think I said this before on the podcast. He's one of the very few that I highly like. One of the people I most highly admire in this world, on this planet right now. It's him. One of the most highly regarded people I have. If that sentence makes sense, I really admire him. He's a really good person from what it seems, at least, because I don't know everything. I don't know what goes on behind the scenes, but from what I see, he's a really, really good person. And usually when someone's shady, that stuff tends to slip into reality, and you tend to see bits and pieces of it. But not with Habib. Mashallah. I really hope he is as good of a guy as he seems to be. And man, it's just the thought of someone being actually that good of a person. It's amazing. And see at the level, especially at his level of fame and notoriety, Uh, yeah, God bless him. Yeah, what else did I watch this week? Actually, since the notes are down, let's go check out YouTube and see what's up. Like, check out the history. What did I watch? Watched a bunch of stuff, like always, but what is really interesting? Something that's really interesting. Yeah, I talked about a chick called Albert, that YouTube channel. Pretty cool. Oh, yeah, I actually read on, excuse me. I actually saw this YouTube video that talked about something called the Gimpy Plant. And apparently it's this plant in Australia that if you touch it, you'll feel pain on that place that you touched it on your skin for days. You'll feel excruciating pain. They actually call it the suicide plant because people tend to kill themselves in order to not feel the pain anymore because that's how horrible it is. Suicide plant. Because people touch it and it makes them feel so miserable that they feel like the way out of this misery is to kill themselves. It's ridiculous. And the pain stays for a few days and then the symptoms linger on for months. Crazy things in this world. A plant that if you touch it, you'll want to kill yourself out of how much pain it makes you feel. Man, some of the craziest, most horrific things in this world. And it's in Australia, no less. Obviously, Australia. And apparently, it's not only in Australia, it's actually in a lot of tropical areas. Like not this specific plant, but similar plants that if you touch, you're gonna feel a painful sensation. Someone commented that there's a plant in his native Nigeria. Someone commented that they saw something like that in Thailand. Someone commented they saw something like that in Mexico. So apparently it's all the equator type, areas. And man, the tropics are nice places, but they have these hidden evils, such as this plant, Yeah, no, it's just a big nope, big fat nope. Dude, crazy thing that I saw. It's like ridiculous. Oh, and another really interesting thing that I saw is the history of Muslims and Vikings. Apparently, there's a shared history between Muslims and Vikings because when Muslims had the Emirate of Cordoba, they ruled Spain and the Iberian Peninsula generally. And apparently, the Vikings went down to Spain and Portugal to raid and pillage, and they actually got into contact with Muslims who actually fought back. And then at some point, after the fighting was over, the Vikings that remained became Muslim because, they liked the religion and saw that, obviously it was the religion of, peace of mind and heart, and they became Muslim. The Vikings actually met Muslims and became Muslim. I actually looked this up and apparently it's, it's a historical thing. It was, in the years of 844, this is when it happened. Crazy. Man, I need to look more into it. And apparently, one of the commanders of the Vikings was the legendary Bjorn Irensaid. I don't know why I said it in a Scottish accent. It's Scandinavian. But hey, he was a Norse Viking chief and legendary king of Sweden. And apparently, he is one of those. He's I guess a very well-known figure. And I don't know much about him, but apparently he's a very well-known figure in the Viking days of Scandinavia. And yeah, he was actually one of the people who I think, well, not necessarily one of the people who became Muslim, but he was, how can I say this? His battalion is the one that kind of tried to conquer or pillage, what's it called, Portugal and Spain. So it's pretty interesting. Really interesting stuff. I didn't know about this, but this is really cool. I kind of heard about this actually before, but I didn't know like this detail. Really cool stuff. Oh, and let's speak real quick about the world of MMA. So first of all, Tyson Fury versus Deontay Wilder 3 happened, and Tyson Fury won by knockout. It was a crazy back and forth. Both of them got knocked down multiple times, and man, Tyson Fury just pulled off the win, showed that he's the better boxer once and for all. Amazing stuff. And now in the world of MMA, like I said, excuse me, we've got a few sleeper cards which aren't really which aren't stacked at all, which don't have any like big names on them, and but I guess in a superstitious way, this is the price we have to pay for UFC 267 and 268. And speaking of 267, man, I've been rewatching some of Glover Teixeira's fights recently, and wow, the beating he put on Anthony Smith after he took a beating, and the way he pulled off a win against Thiago Santos, it was crazy. It was a back and forth. He was getting battered, knocked down, and he still managed to pull off a submission finish. He finished Thiago Santos. It was the most ridiculous thing. But again, he said in both the fights, post-fight interviews, it ain't about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. How much you can take and keep moving forward. The Rocky Balboa quote. And man, he proved it with those two fights. He was losing in the beginning, and then he came up with a win at the end. Wow, it was a brutal beating he put on Anthony Smith. His corner should have stopped that fight, but they didn't for some reason. Left him out to be hanged. He got brutalized, and then he got finished in the 5th round. It was awful to see. So yeah, it was pretty bad. But hey, UFC 267 and 268 are coming up, even though we have a slow few weeks. But, we've had a great 2021. Let's have a few slow weeks, even though it's been going on for a few months now. It's fine. We've got 267 and 268 coming up. It's amazing. And then right after that, Holloway versus Yair Rodriguez. Amazing fights. So guys, with that said, this was the Candlelight Podcast. And by yours truly, Mohamed Abdalla. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you come back for more. And once again, what was the quote? I don't have it in front of me anymore. People overestimate what they can achieve in 1 year. And they tend to underestimate what they can achieve in 10 years. See you guys in the next one. Peace.